It was a bright morning when I, a 25-year-old man with dual nationality from the UK and the US, reflected on the tumultuous journey that had brought me to this point. 7 years had passed since I moved to the US, seeking new opportunities and experiences. Little did I know that the story that unfolded would be one of betrayal, heartbreak, and ultimately, redemption. In the beginning, life was promising. I found myself in a loving relationship with a girl, and for almost 2 years, everything seemed perfect. However, the idyllic facade crumbled when she moved in. She abruptly quit her job, becoming a mere spectator in our shared life. Household chores were left untouched, and her negligence reached its zenith when she got a DUI, a stark reflection of the chaos that had infiltrated our once happy home. I became the sole pillar, the foundation upon which our relationship rested. As the burden on my shoulders grew, so did the cracks in our once unbreakable bond. By May 2023, I faced a difficult decision: to liberate myself from the suffocating grip of a failing relationship. The breaking point arrived, and I resolved to end things. She, however, clung desperately to the shards of what was left, using threats of self-harm as emotional leverage. It was a toxic dance of manipulation that tested the limits of my compassion. Amidst this turmoil, a flicker of hope emerged in the form of a long-awaited visit from my childhood best friend. We had planned a 2-week reunion, a reprieve from the chaos that engulfed my personal life. The agreement was made that we would confront the relationship's issues once my friend departed, allowing us to savor the long-overdue reunion. The first week unfolded seamlessly, with laughter and camaraderie, momentarily overshadowing the shadows lurking beneath the surface. However, the arrival of the second week brought with it the harsh reality of my dual life. Work obligations tethered me, forcing me to leave my friend and girlfriend to their own devices. The initial discomfort escalated into suspicion when they started frequenting places we had meticulously planned to visit together. A sense of betrayal festered as my friend seemed to prioritize her over our long-standing friendship. The climax of this treacherous narrative unfolded in the most unexpected way. Returning home early one day, I stumbled upon a damning piece of evidence: my girlfriend's lingerie strewn across the floor. Confronting my friend, I was met with a defensive accusation of spying. In that moment, the reality of their betrayal was undeniable. Distraught and wounded, I decided to take matters into my own hands. Petty, perhaps, but fueled by hurt and anger, I spent the next 6 hours purring her from my life. Every possession she owned was tossed unceremoniously, her cat's litter boxes crammed into her car's trunk, and her clothes piled on top until the car was filled to the brim. A final warning was sent, instructing her to collect her belongings swiftly without entering the house. Then, with a few taps, I severed all digital ties, blocking them on every platform and canceling her phone line. As I basked in the satisfaction of my newfound solitude, her car, laden with the remnants of our shattered relationship, stood as a testament to the finality of our connection. I envisioned the day she would open that car door, the stench of her past mistakes overwhelming her. Weeks passed, and the car lingered, a silent reminder of the swift justice served. In the midst of this chaos, a plan for revenge against my once trusted friend took root. He had returned to the UK, seemingly free from the consequences of his actions. Yet, I knew his conscience would be burdened with the fear of exposure. The opportunity presented itself when messages from his UK friends flooded my inbox, checking on my well-being. It appeared he had been boasting about his affair with my ex. With a heavy heart, I shared the true story with his friends, a revelation that soon reached his unsuspecting girlfriend. The consequences were swift and severe. He was cast out of his home, the stability he had jeopardized now crumbling around him. Meanwhile, my ex retreated to the confines of her mother's home, living in a cramped room on an air mattress, surrounded by the consequences of her choices. As the dust settled, I sought solace in therapy, a lifeline to navigate the aftermath of betrayal. 6 months later, I emerged stronger, my scars healing as I embarked on a new chapter. The wounds of the past were replaced with the triumph of resilience, and with the weight lifted, I ventured into entrepreneurship, finding genuine happiness in the pursuit of my dreams. The community rallied around me, acknowledging the strength it took to weather such a storm. I shared my newfound joy and a budding romance with a woman who stood in stark contrast to my ex: independent, structured, and caring. The journey through betrayal had taught me to no longer fear the specter of disloyalty. for those who betray ultimately lose more than they gain. In the end, my story became a testament to the enduring power of resilience and the profound beauty of rising from the ashes of betrayal.
In the heart of a bustling city, where dreams intertwined with the pulse of urban life, lived a young woman named Isabella. Her existence was colored by the echoes of a past, a narrative marked by the constant feeling of being overlooked, a sentiment etched into the fabric of her childhood. Growing up amidst the cacophony of her siblings' desires being fulfilled, Isabella found herself perpetually on the sidelines of contentment. While her brothers and sisters effortlessly procured the objects of their wishes, Isabella became intimately familiar with the lingering taste of unmet expectations. The echoes of "no, not this time, and maybe next year" haunted her formative years, shaping her into the person she would become. Fast forward to the present, and Isabella stood at the threshold of her 26th year, surrounded by the ephemeral promise of change. In the symphony of life, where each note held the potential for a harmonious crescendo, Isabella found herself in a relationship with a man named Jacob. They had been together for 10 months, a span of time that, in the grand tapestry of Isabella's life, had started to weave its own narrative. As her birthday approached, Isabella found herself caught in the delicate dance between anticipation and apprehension. She harbored a secret desire, a seemingly simple wish that bore the weight of a lifetime's worth of unfulfilled dreams. A pineapple upside-down cake from XYZ Bakery. For Isabella, this cake wasn't just a confection, it was a symbol of reclaiming the agency denied to her in childhood. The tantalizing prospect of savoring the layers of sweetness and nostalgia on her birthday became a beacon of hope, a tangible manifestation of her newfound voice. A month before the grand celebration, Isabella took the plunge and shared her wish with Jacob. It wasn't a casual mention, but a deliberate declaration, a vocalization of a desire that transcended the realms of ordinary cravings. She spoke of XYZ Bakery, its tantalizing pineapple upside-down cake, and the simple joy it would bring to her birthday celebration. The month leading up to her birthday became a melody of hope and excitement as Isabella, fueled by the prospect of her cherished cake, planned and prepared for the celebration. Amidst the swirl of activity, she reminded Jacob, not just once but multiple times, of the bakery, the cake, and the significance it held for her. It wasn't nagging. It was a symphony of desire, a crescendo building up to a moment that could redefine the narrative of her birthdays. As the day arrived, the air in Isabella's apartment crackled with the energy of expectations. Jacob, a key player in the composition of her celebration, presented her with a gift, a Kindle. While not inherently a bad gift, it stood on the periphery of relevance, a note that didn't quite sync with the melody Isabella had orchestrated in her heart. The real discord struck when Jacob suggested having cake in presents, unveiling a generic grocery store cake adorned with frosting and vanilla buttercream. The ethereal strains of disappointment swept through the room as Isabella, on the brink of tears, confronted the jarring dissonance between her dreams and the reality before her. In the ensuing exchange, where emotions mingled like clashing notes in a cacophonous symphony, Isabella's plea for understanding echoed through the room. The cake wasn't just a cake, it was the culmination of a journey, a reclaiming of a narrative, a battle cry against the years of feeling overlooked. As Jacob, bewildered by the intensity of her emotions, offered a consolation in the form of 2 tickets to a comedy show, the stage was set for the grand finale. However, the comedy show, intended as a salvage operation, only deepened the fissures in their shared harmony. Isabella, drowning in the discord of unmet expectations, refused to be a participant in the performance of joy, and she urged Jacob to leave. As he departed, 1 ticket lay wasted, an inadvertent casualty in the war of desires. A subsequent request for reimbursement, a demand for $30 to compensate for the lost ticket, hovered in the digital realm. The financial implication was a mere footnote in the narrative, but the principle of the matter, the audacity of seeking reimbursement for a birthday gone awry, became a focal point of the ensuing drama. The online community, privy to the unfolding saga, rallied behind Isabella. The collective chorus of voices echoed the sentiment that her disappointment wasn't about the money, but about the acknowledgement of her desires. The demand for reimbursement, a discordant note in the symphony of emotions, symbolized an attempt to quantify an intangible loss. As the digital realm buzzed with commentary, Isabella found herself at a crossroads. The choice to pay or not to pay became a reflection of her agency, a declaration of self-worth in the face of perceived injustice. The story, still unfolding in the virtual echoes of the online community, awaited its resolution, a resolution that would carry the cadence of Isabella's desires into the next chapter of her life. In the aftermath of the tumultuous birthday celebration, Isabella stood on the precipice of self-discovery. The journey, marked by the discord of unmet desires and the quest for validation, was far from over. Yet in the intricate tapestry of her narrative, the echoes of that fateful birthday became a poignant reminder. A reminder that desires, when voiced with sincerity, have the power to shape not just celebrations but the very essence of one's existence. In the quaint town of Chesterfield, nestled between rolling hills and idyllic landscapes, there existed a small mechanic shop that echoed with the rhythmic cadence of wrenches and the hum of engines. At the heart of this workshop was a man named Arthur, a 61-year-old workaholic who had devoted the majority of his life to the symphony of gears and bolts, crafting a legacy of labor and solitude. Arthur's existence was an intricate dance with the mechanical entities that filled his shop, a dance that left little room for the nuances of human connections. His role as a father, tethered to 3 children and a wife, was often relegated to the periphery of his consciousness. In the symphony of life, Arthur had become the conductor of engines, orchestrating the movements of metal rather than the tender melodies of familial bonds. His son, a 24-year-old named James, had grown up beneath the shadows of the workshop. The echoes of his father's work resonated through the walls of their home, leaving behind a trail of missed birthdays, absent holidays, and the persistent ache of unmet expectations. Arthur's relentless dedication to the mechanical realm cast a pallor over the canvas of James's childhood, leaving him yearning for a warmth that existed beyond the cold steel of the workshop. As James matured, so did the shadows of his resentment. The workaholic legacy handed down by his father became a heavy burden, a mantle of unspoken expectations that hovered over his psyche. The scars of proximal abandonment etched themselves into the narrative of his upbringing, leaving behind a tapestry woven with threads of neglect and emotional voids. The turning point in this symphony of familial discord arrived on a melancholy note. Arthur, the indefatigable workhorse of the workshop, succumbed to the cruel hands of time. A month ago, his back, weary from decades of toil, gave in, leaving him stranded at the crossroads of recovery and resignation. The once omnipotent mechanic, now confined to the shackles of physical limitation, found himself ensnared in a web of boredom and discomfort. As James returned to his childhood home, the air was thick with a palpable tension. The workshop, once a sanctuary of solitude for Arthur, now stood as a silent witness to the erosion of a lifetime. The symphony of gears and bolts had fallen to a disconcerting hush, replaced by the awkward shuffle of familial disconnection. In the quiet corners of the home, James confronted his father, a man whose physical ailment had become a metaphor for the emotional chasm that had existed for years. The conversation, unburdened by pleasantries, unfolded with a rawness that cut through the veneer of familial decorum. "You did nothing but work for 40 years straight, and you never had fun. What did you expect?" James, fueled by a cocktail of frustration and unvoiced grievances, laid bare the wounds of a childhood marred by absence. His words, a reckoning with the ghosts of the past, reverberated through the room. Arthur, accustomed to the precision of mechanical dialogue, found himself grappling with the imprecision of human emotions. The confrontation, a storm long overdue, unfolded with an intensity that could either fracture the fragile bonds or pave the way for a tentative reconciliation. As the symphony of accusations and retorts reached its crescendo, James, perhaps unburdened by the weight of unspoken truths, uttered words that echoed with both defiance and vulnerability. This is what happens when you try to work yourself to death. Sometimes you don't die in time, and now you have to stop bothering mom and sis and find something fun to do because I don't pity you. The air hung heavy with the aftermath of spoken truths. The workshop, once a realm of unwavering dedication, seemed to tremble under the weight of unmet expectations and a lifetime of emotional discord. In the wake of their exchange, James left, leaving Arthur to grapple with the dissonance of his own existence. Days passed like a melancholic melody, each note resonating with the pained realization that the workshop, once the cornerstone of Arthur's identity, had become both a refuge and a prison. The persistent echo of James's words lingered, a haunting refrain that begged Arthur to confront the void left by a lifetime of emotional detachment. In the depth of his solitude, Arthur found himself at a crossroads. The symphony of gears and bolts, while familiar, offered no solace in the face of human frailty. His wife and daughter, stalwart companions in the orchestra of life, navigated the tempest of emotions that swirled through the household. It was a gradual transformation, a hesitant melody in the symphony of healing. Arthur, stripped of the armor of workaholism, confronted the void left by a lifetime of emotional neglect. The workshop, once a sanctuary of solitude, began to witness the tentative steps of a man seeking redemption. With each passing day, Arthur navigated the delicate terrain of reconnection. His wife and daughter, initially hesitant recipients of his newfound presence, observed the subtle shifts in the timbre of his existence. The echoes of familial dissonance gradually gave way to a tentative harmony, a melody woven from the threads of acknowledgement and shared vulnerability. In the quiet moments of recovery, Arthur, guided by the unerring hands of time, began to explore the dimensions of a life beyond the workshop. The shadows of his workaholic past, while indelible, no longer cast a looming presence over the canvas of familial bonds. As the seasons cycled through the quaint town of Chesterfield, the workshop, once a realm of solitude and detachment, underwent a transformation of its own. The symphony of gears and bolts, while still playing in the background, harmonized with the laughter and shared moments that became the new notes in Arthur's life. The healing journey, though arduous, unfolded like a delicate sonata, each movement building on the resonance of the previous one. The workshop, once a symbol of emotional abandonment, now stood as a testament to the capacity for change, growth, and the redemption of fractured bonds. In the final movement of this symphony of healing, Arthur, guided by the lessons of a lifetime, embraced the nuances of familial connection. His son, James, now a witness to the transformation of a man he once accused, found solace in the gradual emergence of a father capable of acknowledging the melodies of the heart. The shadows of the workshop, once oppressive, now became the backdrop for a newfound narrative. In the quiet moments of shared laughter, familial warmth, and the slow dance of healing, the echoes of a lifetime of workaholism began to fade, giving way to the sweet melody of redemption and reconciliation. The workshop, still a testament to a lifetime of labor, now bore witness to the resilience of the human spirit and the possibility of rewriting the symphony of one's existence. As the seasons transitioned, Arthur's journey toward redemption unfolded in the gentle cadence of daily life. His recovery from the debilitating back injury became a metaphorical rebirth, an opportunity to redefine his role in the familial symphony. With each tentative step, he explored the dimensions of connection and vulnerability, weaving new melodies into the tapestry of their shared existence. The workshop, once a fortress of solitude, transformed into a space of collective creation. Arthur, guided by the tentative hands of familial rediscovery, invited his wife and daughter into the realm of gears and bolts. Together, they dismantled the walls of emotional distance that had stood for decades, forging a new understanding through the shared language of craftsmanship. In the heart of Chesterfield, a subtle metamorphosis took root. The workshop, while still a testament to Arthur's dedication, bore witness to the collaborative effort of rebuilding fractured bonds. Laughter, once an elusive echo, reverberated through the walls as the family navigated the delicate balance between work and connection. The town itself seemed to respond to the evolving narrative. Neighbors, long acquainted with the stoic figure of Arthur, lost in the mechanical labyrinth, noticed a change in the air. The once solitary mechanic became a communal fixture, his journey of redemption echoing the collective yearning for connection within the fabric of Chesterfield. Meanwhile, James, the reluctant son who had once confronted his father with the rawness of unmet expectations, observed the transformation with a mix of skepticism and hope. The scars of proximal abandonment, though still etched into his psyche, softened as he witnessed the genuine effort Arthur put into rewriting the script of their familial dynamics. The turning point came on a crisp autumn afternoon, the air filled with the scent of fallen leaves and the promise of change. Arthur, having regained a semblance of physical strength, stood at the entrance of the workshop, a metaphorical threshold between the echoes of the past and the potential of a reimagined future. James approached, a silent understanding passing between them. The father and son, once estranged by the shadows of workaholism, stood on the precipice of shared acknowledgement. In that moment, words became unnecessary as the workshop, a silent witness to a lifetime of labor, embraced the possibility of healing. With a subtle nod, Arthur invited James to join him in the dance of craftsmanship. The symphony of gears and bolts, once a solo performance, now became a duet of redemption. Together, they navigated the intricacies of the mechanical ballet, each movement a metaphor for the tentative steps of familial reconciliation. As the workshop doors opened to the embrace of familial collaboration, the town of Chesterfield bore witness to a narrative of transformation. Arthur's journey, from the depths of work-induced solitude to the collaborative harmony of familial connection, rippled through the community like a quiet revolution. The workshop, once a symbol of Arthur's emotional absence, became a beacon of possibility for those who had silently yearned for a connection of their own. The townsfolk, inspired by the changing narrative, began to question the relentless pursuit of productivity at the expense of human connection, recognizing the inherent value of shared moments over the clangor of constant labor. In the heart of winter, with snow blanketing the town in pristine white, the workshop doors remained open, a gesture of invitation to all who sought the warmth of shared existence. Arthur, having weathered the storms of physical and emotional challenges, stood as a testament to the transformative power of vulnerability and the capacity for growth even in the later chapters of life. As the years unfolded, the workshop of Chesterfield continued to resonate with the symphony of familial connection. Arthur's journey, though deeply personal, became a shared narrative, a reminder that the echoes of the past need not dictate the melodies of the future. The shadows of the workshop, once oppressive, now danced on the walls as a testament to resilience, redemption, and the enduring possibility of familial healing. In the heart of Chesterfield, a town that had witnessed the metamorphosis of a mechanic and the redefinition of a family, the workshop doors remained open, inviting all to participate in the ongoing symphony of life.